Jesus sends his apologies. He's having technical difficulties. If I had to guess, he spilled a big pot of coffee on his router and his keyboard and his phone and whatever else electronic was in the proximity of him when he did so. That is probably what happened. If it didn't, I'd like to believe that's what happened because it makes me laugh. So you guys are stuck with me again. So I will try and get us through this today and take a look at some of the flow. So let me get over to the room. I had it up on my other platform, so let me just get it here. Hang on one second. Let me do the okay, here we go, loading up. This is a very weird market, as we know. The SPY, I use the ES, more as a guide, but the SPY, we tagged some levels here just above the December lows, right? So they're playing some kind of game, and we're kind of in the middle here now, this 253 area. 2350 has been an area to buy for a bounce, at least based on what I've been seeing from these two touches. I was looking for here and below just to see if they could really spook the market. We didn't get that. We got this little touch up here. I think 2610 is likely our next spot. And the reason I'm saying that is because I will use Fibonacci retracements to get me there. So, I don't want to get too deep into what Fibonacci retracement levels, are. I would, if you don't know what they are, go out to Investopedia and look up Fibonacci, and you will find his happy face, and you can read more about him and his calculations and how it relates to the golden ratio. So this 2610 area is the area that I'm looking for us to kind of break up to. And they're, again, keep in mind they're levels, they're not exact numbers. We are kind of in the middle right here. So is it an actionable trade? Let's take a look and see what's going on in the after hour on this ES. So this is a 15-minute chart. Let me just get it a little tighter here. We'll take a look. So we're coming back in. So, 2610, somewhere up in this area here. That's what I think is going on. I don't know if it's gonna come to fruition or not. And during all of that madness, I was trading kind of my go-tos. This was just way overdone. This is absolutely horrendous. Let me just change the time frame on here. Sorry to make you guys a little seasick. What I like to do, if you guys know me, I like to start on a bigger time frame and work my way in. And this Boeing has been a handful. I mean, this has been as sheer of a drop off as you guys can imagine. Now, let me just delete this line here. We had sweepers coming in on Boeing today, and I'm looking at where they brought it down to and how far back does that line extend. So from a line in the sand extending back to February of 2016. And if you take that back even further, the area where it broke out through this level was back here in May of 2013. So it took them 10 days. If you used May 13th, May of 2013 to where we started to break out on Boeing, if you go back to the high and where we touched to today, if you started investing in Boeing back in 2013, it took them all of 10 days to erase all of your gains. So to me, that looked like an opportunity for some decent trading today. And we were able to scalp Boeing a lot today. In my room, the Trading the Post room, we kind of keyed in on Boeing. And if you guys know a little bit about how we like to look at the trades, we like to work from a big time scale. So we're just looking at the daily, and then we come in a little closer. So you can see on the Boeing, it got pretty scary. Like this was nasty when it came down here, and we were looking for opportunities to scalp. We found some opportunities to scalp here on this breakout. We found some more opportunities to scalp here, and a couple of opportunities going into the close. I don't know what's next for Boeing. My sense tells me that being in this type of a horrendous market, is there somebody behind the scenes working on something? And is that why those sweepers are showing up? Is the government going to come in and help them out? Is Mr. Buffett behind the scenes looking to make a sweet deal to take them out? I don't know what's happening, but I think that there's some opportunity here, but you're going to have to be pretty careful with how you handle that type of a trade. So it's not going to be the easiest trade, but I think that there's some opportunity here, and I like the fact that there were some sweepers that hit the board. So let's also take a look at. Let me come back to the room. Let's see what if Jay has posted some action for me. Let's see, market updates. Here we go. And we don't have recent stuff set up, but what we can see here, towards the end of the day, some of the big stocks that we like, some of the stocks that I like and that I like to trade, Microsoft. We saw plenty of bulls coming in on Microsoft today. We saw SPY kind of all over the board. I don't follow the banks as intently as some of you other guys do. We had some good activity early in the day, I think, on some Apple. And if some of you guys, especially you guys that are in the Steam room, since we trade some different things, if you've got some stuff that showed up that was of particular interest to you, feel free to throw it here in the chart, and well, we can take a look at it as well. So there was a lot of activity. A lot of that activity came in early. A lot of the stuff that I ignore would be like some of the smaller stocks, right? Like if I see something like Ford or Xerox or this Yandex, like that kind of stuff doesn't interest me. I like to keep my focus to just a few things. Here's part of that Boeing sweep. These bulls came in 120s as a $778,000 bet, so decent, and they kept hitting them. So that's of interest to me when the stocks that I'm looking at are in positions that I like and they start hitting them. That helps me tremendously. Let's see, beyond, let's take some questions here from you guys. Let's see. Beyond the daily, do I think SPY tests the 200 level? So let's go back and take a look at that. We can take a look at the SPY, and I can go back and I can take a look here on not only just the daily, but do you think that we come back up here and test the 200 on a squeeze? Nothing is out of the realm of possibility, and I think that in a bear market that we find ourselves in, could a squeeze like that happen? It could. Do I think it's likely as of right now? I don't think it's likely, but I don't know that. It's tough to forecast beyond day to day, especially with us not having information as it relates to what's the progression of the virus in our country and where's it spreading to, what kind of panic is it creating. If you're one of those people that's hoarding toilet paper, I freaking hate you, and get some to a homeless shelter and be a good person, for God's sakes. So I don't know what's going to happen on the SPY, but I think that we definitely are getting to a point to where we could start to see some squeeze activity, especially with some of the indicators that we like to look at, like this indicator. That's getting to a spot of interest, right? Our squeezometer is not giving us much wiggle room. If this squeezometer on a day like today was down, let's say around the 25 level, that would be more helpful to me. Let's take a look at where we're at, and then let's take a look at this. Somebody wants me to look at this on a weekly. Let's take a look at this on a weekly. So weekly 263. So okay, so you could make a case for that, especially if you see a squeeze past that 260 ES 2610. If we had a really good day and there were a ton of buyers that showed up, could you see a squeeze to there? Sure. Would I bet everything on it, happening? No. Would I trade it? Yeah. Part of the issue right now with these options on everything, this is making life really difficult for options traders if you're trying to catch a directional move, because they are so juiced up and the spreads are wide. And when a directional move starts to come, what happens is you'll start to see, even on SPY contracts that are barely out of the money, that would normally be 60 cents, they're trading at $3, and the spread is 50 cents. Like the market makers are not stupid. They know when a move is inbound. So I have had to, for the first time since the 90s, when I want to scalp, switch to using common. And even in a stock like Boeing or Microsoft, when they see a move coming or guys lining up, you can see them start to push the bid-ask spread a little wider. Microsoft, not as bad. Microsoft is usually only a few pennies. It's super liquid. But the Boeing, you see a lot of manipulation going. So it's definitely not an easy trade to catch. So let's see what else you guys got here for me. Does it say something though that an ungodly amount of stimulus was tossed out and it barely jumped? Yeah, and I think it's a lot of that is because there is still uncertainty. We know that the market hates uncertainty, and it's reflected in what's going on in the SPY. So you have to take it with a grain of salt, and you do have to exercise some caution when you're placing these types of trades. You can't. This is not the time or the place to go all in on stuff, and it's not the time or place to call this is bottom. Is it time to say that there are tradable opportunities? Yes. And now that we've kind of had an opportunity to get this puke out of our system, we can start to look for more opportunities. Now, is it going to continue to puke? That is still an unknown. I think the one thing that could really turn us around, even after all this stimulus, et cetera, is for a biotech consortium or a biotech company or the government in conjunction with the CDC, the WHO, that kind of thing that says, hey, we have a corner on this, we're getting ahead, we have a fix, we have a vaccine, we have something, we have medication, we have drugs, we've created makeshift hospitals in certain hotspots of the country, and we are now getting a foothold over spread and rate of people dying, that would probably give us a move that we could take advantage of. But the problem is you don't know when, how, or if that headline is going to hit. So that just leaves a ton of uncertainty in what we do. So while the market tries to find pricing and how is it going to price in what's happening and how long is GDP going to be impacted, what industries are going to be impacted, it's pretty tough, right? I think a year from now, it's better. I don't know that, but I think a year from now, it's better. I mean, in all of the times of history that we've had this type of a pullback, we are looking at recovery, right? We always find a way through it. And if we don't find a way through it, then we've got other problems on our hands, that, you know, other bigger social issues on our hands than just what can we scalp in the market today. So, you know, it's a very unusual and unforgiving time in the marketplace. So it's, you know, it requires patience, and it requires you to pick spots, and it requires you at those spots to have a little bit of courage to take a trade. So, you know, just going back to a 5-minute view on the SPY. Where did my, no, I just blew my screen up. All right. Going back to the SPY, let me go on to this. And if we looked at 15-minute view, okay, so we kind of had this area a couple of times, right? So this was the 2350 area, and it tagged it a couple of times. And when it tagged it, it was not, if you bought it here and you tried to trade it, you got chopped up. Same thing here. So does it test it again and then go? Or are we in the middle right now, and is it good to go? It's not an easy game in here. It's just not an easy game. So we just continue to look for those clues back in the room. What do we have coming in? What does sentiment look like? Where's our squeezometer at? What type of order flow is hitting the board? Is it bullish? Is it bearish? What are the other traders in the room talking about? What are those guys trading, right? And we all know who the good traders in the room are, or I should say at least the active traders that are making decisions and, you know, shouting out actionable trades. You got guys like options trader, Timmy, OT, he's always on it, right? You got McBob, who's always on it. You've got Paolo, who's always on it. Lotto Burner, Kelman, right? You got all these guys, Norse, you got all these guys in here who are shouting stuff out, right? So you've got to kind of keep an eye on that as well. That helps give you some indication, and you get an idea of what these guys like to trade. So if they trade the way that you trade, and they follow the same, you follow the same methodology or plan that they do, you've got actionable trades in here pretty much all day. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be right, but you've got actionable trades, okay? So those are the things that we're looking at. Those are the things that we try to stay on top of in here. I think you guys, you know, in my room, in my service, what we try to do is we try to stay patient. And what we're looking for is we're looking for beaten down stocks that we can buy leaps on. And once we've purchased those leaps, then what we're doing is we're looking for, you know, a move up. Now, I can tell you that a stock like, you know, Boeing, which was on our list, which we did trade, obviously has not performed well in here. The thing that saved us in the room is that when the VIX was back below 12, what we were doing is when we were in these leaps on Boeing and we were in these leaps on Ulta, we were rolling these leaps up. So as the stock moved up, we would find appropriate places to roll up. We'd write against them, and then we would collect that premium. That premium would expire worthless, or we'd sell it out. A lot of times what we could do is we could find days where we could trade it 1 or 2 times, collecting 50 cents, 75 cents and ultimately wind up paying for our leap. So what happened in this downdraft, and what we were looking at was going out and buying these SPY puts. We were looking at SPY puts, diamond puts, and Q puts, and we were buying them way out of the money. We were buying them for on the cheap. So to give you an example, there were a lot of guys in the room that bought out into May and June. We were buying the a 20 delta, 15 delta put, and it was costing us $2 or $3, and we were using the money from our rolls up and from our premium collection to buy some of this protection. And it was costing us $2 or $3. And I went and I looked at those options today. They're in the 40s. So, we didn't catch all of the move on the puts. We caught a big portion of the move on the puts. Our leaps were completely paid for. We were in a situation now that the leaps simply just become lottos, and we get to write against them as the stock moves around. So it's really not dead money. They're still paying us. And actually what we wound up doing was getting these leaps at no cost. So that's what we try to do in the trading the post room. And then at the same time, especially in this marketplace, what we're doing is we're being a lot more tactical, and we're looking for specific types of trades. For example, the Boeing, for example, SPY. Ulta has not been on our list as short-term types of trades, but we've done quite well scalping the Microsoft, the Boeings, the TQQQs. We've been doing a lot of work on SPY. We've got a lot of guys that are understanding and really cluing into where are the levels of extremity that we have opportunities for trades. So we've really tightened up in there, and we just continue to stack our wins, because what's going to happen is we are going to reach a point that this whole thing starts to flatten out. And when it starts to flatten out and we get opportunities, they are going to be opportunities for you to create massive amounts of wealth if you have stacked paper and you are ready for those types of trades. So in the trading the post room, we are going to be looking for that. When is the timing going to be right? We don't know yet, but that's what we'll be doing in that room. And the guys that are in there have already done phenomenal work. We did phenomenal work on Biogen. We did great work on Ulta. We did great work on Boeing. We caught these at the right spots. We rode them up. We also rode them down on a short-term basis. And now we're just in a tactical mode. So we're in good shape over there. And we use a methodology that we stick with. So let me see what else I can answer here for you guys that have gone on a little bit of a rant. Let's see. Italy just banned short selling. But this is an interesting comment, because could it happen here where they decide to close markets for a few days? I mean, I can tell you after 9/11, when I got caught long and they closed the market for 4 days, it was one of the lowest points of my life. And it was an absolute account blow up. And I will never get stuck in that situation again, which is why I created that strategy in the trading the post room. Because when this type of hatred shows up at the door unexpectedly, we want to make sure that the long portfolio is completely paid for and is completely protected. And on a day like this and like this and like this, we're looking at green, we're not looking at red, and we're not looking at panic, right? So that whole destruction in 9/11 is what created this. And if Italy's banning short selling, could they shut markets here? They could. I don't think that they will, but they could. And I don't want to be caught if they do something like that. So, we're being tactical and we're stacking our chips right now. So that was a large portion of the reason of taking a lot of those puts off and then just getting tactical with scalps. Is it better to ditch trading options at this time and just stick to 3-time ETFs for the next few days? I mean, I don't know how long it lasts. And if you're trading 3x ETFs, that's a different game. And it's not one that I'm super comfortable with, but what I will tell you is that if I don't feel like going out and playing an Amazon or a Microsoft or a Google, and I just want to put a little bit of risk on, this is a very inexpensive way for me to play that as a proxy. Now, I'm not going to do nearly as well playing this as I would be if I picked the right stock to be in. If it was Amazon or if it was Google that was having a great day, I'm not going to do as well here, but it does give me greater leverage. It gives me less price fluctuation, and I have tighter spreads. So in this environment with this much volatility, it works better for me at the moment, right? It doesn't mean it's going to last, but it just works better for me at the moment. And that's why I was saying I haven't done that since the 90s. How does the VIX play a role? The VIX plays a role in a couple of different ways. So the VIX is being the fear and greed indicator. It tells me how expensive are options at the current time. So for example, with the VIX up here in the 80s, option prices, the premiums, the implied volatility in the options is completely out of whack, right? Like if I were to look at a SPY contract, I'll just pull up so let me just go to the 18s. Let's just pull up 12 wide. Here's a 2. Let's just say here's an I mean, that's $5 for a 251. A 252 is 510 by 529. That's what the VIX, that's the role that the VIX plays. That option should not be in normal volatility. When we're, let's say, back down in the, call it between the 15 and the 12, this option is not $5. This option's $1.10. So that's how the VIX impacts the pricing, the implied volatility in these types of options. It makes it very good for doing things like writing, but if you don't pick the right spot and all of a sudden you get a move that goes against you, you're going to be in a very, very uncomfortable place very fast. So that's how the VIX gets used in my strategy on a long-term basis. When we're at its lows, we were at lows back in here, and this is when you can ask the guys in my service. This is where we were buying long-term protection. We were buying when the VIX was below 12. I pounded that into their heads. They all understood the relationship of that the game we were playing was not the how big is the point drop going to be. We were playing a game of volatility and how out of whack was the pricing going to be on those puts if we were to get a move like this. So that's how VIX gets used. Let's see what else we got here. Opinion on airline companies. Man, they can't let airlines go out of business, right? That's, but is today the time to buy? I don't think so, but I don't think they can't let airlines go out of business. Some of the smaller ones, yes, but are they going to let a United, a Delta, an American? Are they going to let the major carriers go out? I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't know that, but I doubt it. I can't envision a world where they just say, good luck to you guys, because when this does clear, the world will go back to doing business and traveling again. It might be damaged for a while. It might take a long time for it to come back, but we're still going to need to get on airplanes. Yeah, after this, I don't disagree with what you guys are saying. With the stimulus coming in, I don't see how they shut the market down. I don't see how they I don't see how they cut off short selling. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to stir up hysteria by any means. I'm just saying that once upon a time in my life, I got caught, and I got caught for 4 days, and I couldn't do anything about it. That's the only, it was another extreme circumstance, and this is an extreme circumstance. So I'm not forecasting that the market would get shut. I'm just saying I don't like the prospect of it, and the way that I've positioned and trade today will put me in a position that I don't get caught in that type of situation. That's all. Am I swinging any positions in this type of environment? I don't think this is the right environment to start looking for swings. There's going to be a time when we get those opportunities, and they will, if you get it right, they will be life-changing financially if you get them right. Didn't catch a new podcasting and protecting yourself. Okay, so the trade for protecting ourselves is now over, right? The time to do that in our room has already come and gone. So, if you try and do that here, if you try and do that now, you're going to get run over, right? You're going to pay way too much for an option unless you're scalping. There's no way you can just come out here and buy protection for your portfolio now. It's way too late. But the way that we do it is we look for the VIX at its lows, and for us, the VIX at its lows was below 12, and then we went 6 to 9 months out. We looked for a 15 to 20 delta put, and we were looking for SPYs, we were looking for diamonds, and we were looking for Qs, and we just put them away. And how did we pay for them? We paid for them by using the profits that we collected on premium collection against our leaps. And those leaps, as they moved up, we rolled them up to different strikes. We kept the profit in our pocket. What it did was it paid for those leaps, and then that premium collection strategy added money on top of it. So once our leaps are paid for, it's a free ride, right? So we did really well on Ulta. We did okay on Boeing. We did okay on Boeing for a little while, but we did really well on Ulta. For the guys that came into my service early, we played Biogen, and we played Biogen through this entire channel. And all we did was we collected premium on these leaps. And then on this day, we had a pretty massive celebration. We got a 90-point pop. We rolled close to the top, not at the top, and we wrote. We shut this trade down, ironically enough, a day before we got this pop. So you can't get everything right 100% of the time, but we did manage to get this. This was a 90-point pop in a single day. That's the type of trade we look for in the Trading the Post room, and that's the type of trade that we'll be looking for again, because this mess is going to give us that opportunity. The only question is just going to be, the timing of it. Thoughts on VIX short 1 year from today? I mean, listen, if it's not the worst idea, right? Like I've brought this up to the guys in my room also. Like, if we're looking for an opportunity to, take a stab on something like this and say, hey, this is stupid, right? Like, this volatility at this level is not going to last like this forever. The complete opposite of when we saw dollar bill come in, and he was buying the March, what did he buy? March VIX 24s or 25s. I mean, that was an absolute home run. So is it plausible to think that you could get the same type of trade on a VXX or a VIX? Yeah, that is definitely within the realm of possibility. How far out do you have to go, and how much do you have to pay? That is not as clear, but I don't mind looking at that type of thought process as, here's something that I can tuck away for, I don't know, let's say things find a way to start recovering, right? And Now we say the back half of the year, Q3 and Q4, are going to get better. This thing's going to level out and start to taper off in June. So you want to go out and you want to buy some VXX puts in June or July that are way out of the money. Yeah, you could take a shot at doing that and tuck it away, right? So, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. The question becomes, how much more of this do we have to go? Have we reached the top? So it's an unknown. You would take on risk to do that type of a trade, but it's not the worst idea that I've heard. I don't mind taking that type of trade. And if you're only taking it, let's say for $1, or you're taking it for 50 cents, you can make up that type of money from your scalping activity. So I don't mind that type of a shot. I mean, I actually have some of that tucked away. I'm out in May. I think I'm a little too close. I'm probably going to have to adjust that out to July to see if it's going to work. But I've got a little bit of that on. I think that's a good idea. Let me get through here. I'm gonna try and get through as many of these questions as I can, you guys. Bear with me. If I don't get to your question, just go ahead and pop it back up there again. Let's see. Yeah, Lotto Burner's in here saying they can make the airlines hurt for sure. You don't want to be early to these. Like right now we're tactical and we're scalping. We're looking for a squeeze. I'm looking for a bear market squeeze. For me right now, any pops are subject to scrutiny and immediate reason for me to think that it's going to come back in. Now, it's not going to be the easiest game to play, but right now it's working. So I don't think that it's a bad idea on pops to be looking for sellers to immediately show back up. So like the other day, that Friday, that squeeze we had for 2,000 points. I mean, my thought going into the weekend was there's no way that I want to be stuck long, even if I'm wrong and we keep going. I don't want to be stuck. So I'm going home flat at the end of every day. The only thing I have on are those leaps on that Ulta and that Boeing, and it doesn't matter to me because they're already paid for, and I'm profitable on them, and I'm scalping around them, and I'm writing against them too. So I don't have the same level of or the same approach to that as other traders do. It's what works for me, and what is working for guys in our room. How much technicals go out the window through a situation that's never really happened like this before? See people being idiots and not quarantining. Yeah, I mean, I'm respecting the fact that they want us to be quarantined, and I think people are taking unnecessary risk. I think younger people, I certainly had a feeling of invincibility when I was at that age and didn't believe that I could put myself in harm's way. I think that's a normal reaction. What will cause that to change is if people around them get sick. But I mean, yeah, be smart. Like, don't put yourself in unnecessary situations. I mean, if you're not in an area where they're telling you stay home, just use normal precautions. But I mean, I can't sit here in a chair and pontificate about the virus and what you should or shouldn't do. I think you should just be a normal, cautious person that washes their hands after you go to the bathroom and picks your nose. Like, just be smart, use common sense. Like, don't hang around in common spaces where people are crowded together and you got people sneezing and coughing and kids with runny noses. Like, avoid those types of scenarios, and I think you're probably be in good shape. Somebody's asking me about resorts, hotels, especially in Vegas, MGM, Wynn, Caesar. I think it's probably pretty tough to get yourself involved into that trade right now. I don't know what it's gonna, I don't know what that's gonna look like. I think, again, over time, this probably is an opportunity, but at what price? I mean, $54 for win, that's, that's crazy, right? Crazy pricing. But I don't know how badly they're going to be damaged. We don't know, and we won't know until the economy and people start to get back to normal lives. We don't know where that's going to be, and if the virus goes in waves, it's too hard to see right now. Do I think there'll be an opportunity there? Probably. Just like there'll probably be an opportunity in airlines, right? But I can't step in. I can't step into it here. Do I want to? Sure, but I can't step into it there. Let's see, what else we got? Timmy's busting my chops. He's asking me if I remember that far back. Timmy, when that, so I only remember certain windows of time, and when 9/11 came around and I lost the kind of money that I did, that leaves a permanent mark. So I might not remember anything between now and that date, but I remember that date. Do I think we'll see a ramp in M&A as it settles down? Yeah, Kelman, I think yeah, for sure. I think there'll be there. Unfortunately, there are going to be some losers, right? There are going to be some companies that are not going to be able to withstand and survive this, and they'll either get gobbled up, or competitors will just let them wither and die and steal their market share. I think that there will be some good values. It will not surprise me to see guys like Warren Buffett and Carl Icahn and what's his bucket, CMG guy. Why can't I think of his name? He'll. It's not going to surprise me to see these guys accumulating, right? When and what they accumulate, or how much do they want to take on? That is still unclear, but it won't surprise me. Yeah, Paul's talking about testing. Our testing is atrocious. They need to ramp that up aggressively. I know they're trying, but it needs to just get so much better. They really, I think they're learning that the key to containing is to identify hotspots and people who are sick, so that they can get treatment or quarantine them, so that we're not socially out there wrecking each other. That's just bad news. Do I think RCL, CCL to buy? I think, my personal opinion, and I always caution people when I say my personal opinion, just because I say something that my personal opinion is, does not mean that it will be true. I think that the cruise lines are forever damaged. It is a personal reason that I say that. I'm not a fan of being on cruises. I don't like the fact that, like, even just a norovirus can run through a ship within 24 hours and everybody on board is puking their guts out and has diarrhea and can't move. Like, why on God's green earth do I ever want to put myself in a situation like that to begin with? And now that these people have had not just that type of virus, but now that they've had a virus that could potentially kill them, especially elderly people that like in their retirement to go on cruises, I think that this is going to really hurt this industry. So for me, I'm not looking at the cruise lines as a potential bounce back. I would pick airlines before I would pick the cruise lines, but I don't think we're there yet. And then, the resorts fall into that as well. That's all the travel and leisure, right? So at some point we are going to look for some of that stuff to bounce back. Cruise lines won't be on my list though. What if virus concerns dissipate and the market keeps going down? I don't know that we'll see that. And if we do see that, my sense would be we would see that for a period of time until businesses can get a better handle on forecasting and GDP comes more into whack, right? Like, or more into line. Right now, everything is so far out of whack. We don't know how to price it. We don't know what it's going to look like. If things go back to normal, then analysts will be able to, and businesses will be able to do a better job of forecasting and seeing how we're going to grow. So, will that be the absolute bottom? I mean, I've never been able to call an absolute bottom. I've never been able to call an absolute top. I've only been able to come in an area of where we think things are going to be. But, could the market continue to go down if these concerns mellow out? Could, but I don't think that they would do it for a very long time if they did it at all. But again, it's crystal ball, it's Miss Cleo territory. So just be careful with that, right? We had some Aussies ignore the shelter rule at skier. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys are. I'm a little bummed out. Obviously, this virus thing has squashed all of my travel plans. I had a pretty big year on tap, and I'm not going to get to go do a lot of stuff. It's a first world problem. I am going to be fine. I will go and visit other places again when this stuff calms down. And we just had a huge dump of snow up in Tahoe, and nobody can use it, even backcountry guys, because everybody's gone home from the resorts. So ski patrol is around, but ski patrol is not actively taking care of lift operations and looking for skiers. So if you're a backcountry guy, you better know what you're doing up there, and you better have a bunch of people with you, and you better have your beacons and your shovels and your poles and everything else that's going to be needed to haul somebody out of there. So if you live in a state where you're passionate about skiing and people are ignoring warnings on huge snow days like that, you guys all know better. Yeah, there you go, Kevin. Your girl's a patroller and she's home. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're out. I mean, when I was young, that was one of my jobs also, and I can't see why patrol would be out in this environment. So, all right, guys, what else you got? You got anything else that you want me to take a look at? What would a short sale ban do to puts? It would blow them up. I mean, I don't know from a FINRA standpoint what they would do. I don't know if SIBA would delist them. I don't know if the exchanges would delist them. I don't know if they'd halt them. I don't know how they'd handle it, but it would not be good. And it's a great question, and one you should plug into Google, because I'm actually curious to know the answer to that, but I don't even want to go down that road. Oh, Kevin, you're Nevin. Nice. Okay. I should have known. All right, you guys. Well, apologies for Jesus not being here. Anything else you want me to take a look at? And let me know. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll wrap it up. CRM. Timmy, you want me to look at CRM? All right, let's take a look at CRM. Well, that is tempting, isn't it? That's a nice bounce today. And I've been so focused, Timmy, on Boeing and Microsoft and SPY that I've had my eye off of this. But it is definitely an interesting level that you bring this up at. This is a pretty good trading stock, right? So, at this price level, and given the volatility that we're at, I mean, for a scalp, I would feel comfortable trading this thing. At some point, I would, this would definitely fit on my radar for recovery, because up here at 195, cut down to 123, that you're almost getting a 50% haircut. That's the type of thing that I'm looking for. good company, well run. Cloud software is, you know, SaaS model. It's a good looking setup. This one not as good of a setup, but another one that if we were to get down into this area, I wouldn't mind taking a look at. Let's see if any of these other high flyers are giving us some looks. This is held up pretty strong. So Equinix competes with Amazon Web Server, so AWS. This is a very well-run company that if you can catch into weakness. There's another one. We all know the story here. Google doing its laggard act. Keep an eye on that. That will give you some opportunity as well. Bob, is Wall Street Jesus okay? Yeah, he's having internet trouble today. Let's see, AAL. Let's take a look at AAL. I mean, all of the big three are going to look pretty similar, I think. Let's take a look. Yep. I mean, at some point, pick the best run, best operated one out of the bunch. It's probably Delta. I don't know that for certain. It's probably Delta, but you're likely to get opportunity on all three of these at some point. Uber, you want me to look at Uber, UBER. That's getting the crap knocked out of it too, right? Again, this is going to be tough. They are, you know, social distancing in places like San Francisco are putting severe limitations on these guys being able to drive around. So it's that this one's a crystal ball because we don't know where we're gonna slow down and, you know, the drivers get back to work. The Uber Eats is probably okay because in my area they have basically been instructed to continue delivering Uber Eats, but they're just doing it by leaving it at your door. They're not knocking on your door and handing the food off. So will an increase in Uber Eats or at least, you know, get this to stabilize? I don't know. So too much of an unknown. Is it tradable? Can you scalp it? Probably, but that's not my type of trade. Piton. Now, good question. Are algos at work on this? I mean, this is the type of environment that might actually help these guys. If you're stuck, you know, at home and you don't have anything to do because you're on lockdown. We're on lockdown till April 7th. I mean, I'm gonna walk down the hall and get on my Peloton when I'm done with this. And my wife was down the hall when I started this. I had to go shut the door because all I heard was yelling and cheering from the Peloton. So, you know, this is probably not a bad look for these guys in here. So I don't mind taking a look at that one. TTD. Actually, TTD, I think, first of all, I like TTD as a, I think it's a good company. I think it's a well-run company, and I think at some point, you know, this is on my radar. This is on my radar as a potential, right? TTD's on my radar. I like this being on my radar. I like this being on my radar. I like this on my radar. I like this on my radar. And I don't need much more than that. because when we finally level out and get our act together, the best quality growth names are going to be the ones that recover the fastest. So as TTD falls in that category, Shop falls in that category, Amazon, Google, Microsoft fall into that category. Live Nation, LYB, I mean, super crowded spaces, right? People coughing on each other, sharing blunts, passing around the flask that you crotched to get it into the concert. Like, I don't know how that one's and how that's gonna wind up. I mean, to me, I'm not, and I love going to concerts, but I don't see myself at one for a while. So these guys could suffer, right? Tough one. That's a tough one. And then what else could be tough? That's taking a beating too, right? There's probably trades in those stocks, but are they going to be the recovery stories that we look for? In my humble opinion, I say no. I'm looking for the best quality that I can find at the best discount that I can get my hands on it, and then I will implement my strategy. And when all the stuff does bounce back, those will be the those will be the winners, right? Those will be the fantastic trades, and those will be the trades that people will talk about and they'll be like, oh, I knew it. I told you that was going to happen. That does no good. You got to get into the trade if that's what's going to go down, right? St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. John, are you guys out and about, or are you locked down? No fun. Okay, there you go. Yeah, nobody wants to be locked down on St. Patrick's Day. That's for sure. I'm normally in a mosh pit at a Flogging Molly show, so that's not fun for me either. All right, T-Doc. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, Teledoc. So Bob, Teledoc is instrument tracking, correct? Instrument tracking software? I think it's instrument tracking software. I mean, vitally important in the hospital, no question. You need an instrument tracking system that not only just tracks instrumentation, but that provides analytics for hospitals. Because if you're part of a hospital chain and you're hospital A and you're an orthopedic surgeon and you've got orthopedic drills in your SPD department and you need them, and hospital B, which is also part of your chain, does, let's say, 30% less orthopedic procedures than you, but they've got 20 drills on their shelf and you have 2, like, administrators need to know that so that they can streamline their business. So, you know, does Teledoc do that? I mean, that's what I think that they do. So I think that's a good business model. Online doctors, okay, that's a good model too. So it's just given where we're at with the market, I don't see, like, I just don't see a good discount to take advantage of. So if your thought process is I want to be in something of quality that, you know, is going to keep me safe, it's probably a good thing to look at, but I want something that's been punched in the face that's going to move back up, because that's what's going to make me money. I'm not going to make money in a T-Doc trading it between 118 and 150. It's going to be harder for me to make money there than it is to buy something that's been slapped around, right? Okay, so primary services, elective surgeries. Okay. Virtual health. Okay, so anyway, that's my take on the T-Doc. Is it good? Is it good quality? you know, I think so, but I'm not getting it at a discount. So it's not gonna jump out and look at me and be something that I want to get. Again, I'm looking for the best quality that I can find at the best discount that I can get. That's my mindset on that. CSOD, let me take a look at CSOD. Cornerstone on demand. What is this? I do not know this. I am not familiar with Cornerstone. I mean, just looking at a chart from a technical standpoint, is it beaten up? Pretty beaten up. I don't know anything about it, so I can't really comment on it other than from a technical standpoint to say you could have some opportunity there, but if I don't know their business and what they're doing, and if they're profitable, et cetera, it's going to be hard for me to make a call on something like that. Gilead, I can pull up Gilead. I can tell you that I'm not a fan. I can tell you what I am a fan of. That when that broke down, that was a huge opportunity for me. Regeneron has always remained as one of those companies that I look for and try to find discounting on. It's very tough. It's very difficult to do that. Gilead is just, I can't make money here. I can't make money here because it just doesn't do anything. And even if it's flat and I want to just go be a premium collector, there's not enough premium in the options for me to go out and be excited about and collect. Now, in the current environment, there probably is, but I have so much better opportunity in other plays than I do in Gilead. So Gilead, if they come out, listen, if they come out with a cure, a vaccine, I should say, you can't cure a virus. You can't, it runs its course, but you can vaccinate against it. If they come out with something fantastic, I hope that they do. I would never bet my money on Gilead, and if it's your cup of tea, great, but it's not my it's not my preferred biotech. Let's see what else you guys want me to take a look at. The TQQs, we kind of covered that. Nevin, we can go over those again. Nvidia I like very much, and actually that's on my list of quality on sale. Now, we had a phenomenal trade set up on Nvidia today, and I stared at it like a deer in headlights as it made its way from here at one. I was started looking at it at 193, and I was like, something's up, something's up, something's up, and I just watched it, and it went up in my face to 219 from 193. So I miss trades. It happens to all of us. What I was able to make it up back on was trading Microsoft. Microsoft gave us a lot of opportunity. Microsoft, for some reason, likes to tag the 143 area and rip. So that's how we were approaching the Microsoft today. The Boeing was also a very nice trade today. You got opportunities on this pull. You got an opportunity on this pull. It is really beaten up. Lumber liquidators. Take a look at lumber liquidators. Oh Lord. I mean, it's priced like an option. $5, right? What's your worst case scenario? 0. You want to take a lotto on something like that? Okay. Not the worst look, but is this the right place to do it? I don't think so. Let me look at this thing from a Now, if it catches flow and somebody comes in and is trying to just, to trade it, and you want to trade this thing, you probably get an opportunity. But hey, for $5 and you just want to throw some equity on, I mean, yeah, you could take a shot on a lumber liquidators, but I wouldn't expect much from it. Maybe you get this thing to pop back up to, to 6, or what do we got it over here? 650. Maybe you get that move, and if you did, that would be a solid trade. Kevin Durant has coronavirus. Great. Let me try this IPIX. I don't know this. IPEX Incorporated. Let's see, Q. No, I'm not pulling that up. I can't even find that ticker. Yeah, no, I believe what you're saying about Kevin Durant having coronavirus. I mean, my great is very sarcastic, right? That is not good. I don't want to think about all these guys getting the virus. I mean, the good news is that these are, if you're younger and you're healthy, people are getting through the virus and they're being treated. So, but what I don't like is obviously the spread of this disease. It's not pretty, right? There will be plenty of jokes to go around, but we're too soon. Banks. Okay, so banks. I've not been big on the banks, and if any of you guys know Matt Kelman in the room, one of the things that he is good at and pulled up for me a long time ago and brought to my attention was, hey, the last part of a rally, the last part of a bull market is the banks to follow, the financials to follow. And what did they do? They topped out and we shit the bed, right? So do I look for banks to make a recovery? I don't know. It's not the area that I go to first when I look for any type of turnaround activity. I like growth. I like the tech names. I like those cloud names. I like some of the other beaten down infrastructure and consumer stuff. I expect that over time those things will make a rebound. So I want to find the best of breed in those categories. Banking doesn't really excite me as much, and are we going to get a bounce in banking? Probably. Now, is it sold off enough? That I still don't know. I'm still waiting and looking for, we still don't have a lot of clarity. So I'm still continuing to be tactical in my trading. Now, if you're in the steam room and and we start to see this flow come in and it repeats and it's over and over and over, and you see the same names getting hit and it's the big boys, that's going to be the time for us to start taking on some risk, right? But here now, I don't think so. And if I am going to do it, I prefer Goldman and JPM as far as longer term quality, as far as like tradability. This moves pretty well, and it's options on it are as liquid as the sea. I'm not a fan of this bank in general. It's a personal issue. Don't take it personally. I just don't like this bank. I'm glad they've cleared out the guys at the top. I think Nevin wanted me to take a look at these TQQs. So again, if you want to play, you know, an Amazon, Microsoft, Google by proxy, and you don't have the bankroll to play those, but you still want to get a piece, this is a way to get a piece. Now, it's not a pure play, but it's a way to get a piece, and you know, it's very tradable. And because it's priced how it is, you can trade either options or you can trade the underlying, and either works really well. Right now, I prefer to trade the underlying, just the index itself, because it's liquid and I can get in and out, and the spread on the bid ask is reasonable. It's not in my face. Yeah, IWM turning point last year. Yep, and it's under serious pressure right now. And I'm looking for. This is part of that stimulus, right? The government doesn't want small business to come under intense severe pressure, and they don't want them to go out of business. That's a large part of our economy. So they don't want that to blow up. So, you know, can we look for opportunity here? You can look for opportunity here. Right now, it's probably a good trade as opposed to we're going to get long and hang on. But again, all of this stuff, you guys, is just coming back to we have to kind of just play this stuff day by day, continue to be tactical, continue to look for our opportunities that are showing up. What's the sweeper activity look like? Where's the squeezometer? What's going on in our room? What's the trading that we see? This is where you guys can find me. I'm not an avid poster on Twitter, but I'm at Ron Friedman SF. If you're looking for me on Twitter, I will retweet some stuff. I like to mostly scroll through a lot of stuff and look at it. I don't look at Twitter during the course of the day, because during the course of the day, it can be a complete head game that they play with you over there. As far as Wall Street Jesus is concerned, if you are looking for products, what we do, you come over to Wall Street Jesus. So it's wallstreetstjesus.com. And then you come over to products. We've got Master Course, Wise Guys Revealed, Steam Room, and the private Twitter feed. You can come over here and check that out if you're looking for more detail. And I know that they do offer a couple of days of the Steam Room at no cost. I think that it's for, I think they do that for 3 days for new subscribers. So you can come in and check that out. And then I think pricing is, you'll find pricing in there once you sign up for that. So come by if you're not a part of the room and you want to see, especially in a market like this, how these guys are trading. You know, this is a pretty good room to come into and observe what's going on. You've got a lot of good traders in here with a lot of experience, and then of course you've got Wall Street Jesus, who's calling out flow all day, and you know, he's in there answering questions for you guys. This is a really, I don't know if you've been involved in other rooms. I've been involved in plenty of rooms. This one fits me. It does a really nice job, and you've got a good community of traders in here. So if you guys want, come on in and check it out. All right, you guys, it's 2:30 my time. I am going to cut it here. Thanks for coming in. Watch your trades, stay on top of your trades. Don't trade something and walk away. You can't really do that in this market. And if you're in the room, feel free to shout out at me in the room, and good luck to you guys. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Thanks again, you guys. Have a great day.